What is up, guys? This is the Epic Gamer Boy here, and today we'll be doing an updated device collection of June 2024. So without further ado, let's get started. It's actually been a while since I made the last one, and now it's actually a perfect time to do another updated device collection video. So let's get started. First up, we have is a iPhone 3G wide 16GB on iOS 3.1.3 with old apps on there. Here we have another Swiggy. This one is black, 8 gigabyte, and also has a lot of apps and music on there. I actually got lucky with this one because I originally got this as untested for only $3, and it actually somehow worked after I plugged into a charger. And it's missing a SIM card tray, but yeah, as, and yeah, it worked. And this one's on iOS 4.2.1 with old apps. And yeah. Next up we have is a 3GS 16 GB black on iOS 6.1.6. Yeah. Yeah, this one's actually I think this one I believe is one of my first ever not my first ever Target bin finds, but my first Target bin finds in like a long time, since I did took a break from Target bins back then. I actually did don't quit doing Target bins. I mean, if I have time and I go to one, I'd still go to Target for bins and stuff. So yeah, this device works fully good with no issues. It originally had a swollen battery when I got it, but my friend fixed it for me and now it's perfectly working. Oh, and yeah, I think this part was not originally here. I think I kind of did that when I felt like that the back is cracking, but that's actually normal for these phones. So yeah, perfectly working 3GS. Next up, we have the iPhone 4, 16 GB black. Oh wait, this is 8 GB, I believe. Oh yeah, this one I got it in like a untested lot, and it actually somehow and this one actually worked, and this one actually worked, and it's just an iOS 7.1.21. So yeah, I mean, it's cool that this works, and I got this along with a white iPhone 4, white GSM iPhone 4, and another 3G that looked like that one, but not furtherly tested. And yeah, I guess that's a good find. I guess this iPhone 4 is a good find from like a untested lot. Next up, we have another iPhone 4. I believe this one was also from a Target bin from a long time ago, I believe. Yeah, I can tell when I feel the power button. But yeah, works fully good with no issues, 16 GB black. And here we have another iPhone 4. This iPhone 4 is actually pretty special because this one's on iOS 4.2.1, and if you may think it's downgraded, no, this device has not been downgraded. And also this device is also in extremely mint condition. So I actually put it in this case over one of my white ones, because one of my white ones wasn't very mint condition, and one of my white ones are I think they're pretty much on iOS 7, but on iOS 7, but this one's actually extremely rare because this one's on iOS 4.2.1, not downgraded, and yeah, it's a fully working device. This is actually pretty cool. One of a rarest device in my collection. It's one of the rarest devices in my collection, and yeah, it's actually nice to have this. So yeah, and I'm gonna be keeping it on iOS 4.2.1 because it's rare. Next up, we have the white iPhone 4 GSM. Works fully good with no issues. I actually had this one for. I actually have this one for about 2 years, I think, cause. Oh yeah, I actually had this one for over 2 years, I think. I believe like back in like 2022 or something, doing when I was like doing phone trades with my friend. I actually got like a lot of like iPhone 4s, including some like iCloud locked ones for smashing. I think this one I got it along with some like iCloud locked forces and some other force, but I smashed those and I still have this one. Next up, we have another iPhone 4. Oh, by the way, this one's 8 GB, and yeah. So okay, so the one with a small chip on bottom is 8 gigabyte, and those two are 16 gigabyte. So, and this iPhone 4 is, I believe, is also 8 gigabyte. I think a lot of my white ones, I kind of had them for like about 2 years, even though I don't seem to. I mean, I used to use them that much when. Actually, I did used to use them that much when I was like when I still had a red SE second gen 256 gigabyte that I was like maining, because I didn't have like newer phones than that at the time, and yeah, and I was like using these for fun. So yeah, this device works fully good with no issues. Also 8 gigabytes, 7.1.2. By the way, this one's a CDMA model, the white one I showed, and the other white one is GSM. Here we have another iPhone 4, 16 gigabyte black. Yeah, this one's 16 gigabyte black. Works fully good with no issues, and yeah. And next up we have another white iPhone 4. Now this one's actually in like more mint condition than that one, except I got this one. Oh wait, I got this one from like one of my dad's friends, back in like summer of 2022. Back in like summer of 2022. I don't know why, but back in 2022, I think to like I don't know how I can explain this, but I've smashed a lot of like iPhone 4s and 4Ss at the time, but I think after that I don't feel like I regret like them since there's not that really special them. But the thing about it is that I keep like asking for like iPhone 4s and 4Ss since I always want more of these, since I still want like more of these, because these phones are still pretty cool, besides like being a bit slow on their latest firmware. Yeah, this one's in like extremely mint condition. This one, for what I remember, this one originally came on iOS 6.1.3 when I got it, but I ended up updating it because since that time I wasn't really collecting rare devices. But iOS 6.1.3 is not rare on the iPhone 4 anyway, so yeah. Next up, you have the iPhone 4S, 32 gigabyte black. Works fully good with no issues. Next up, we have a white iPhone 4S, 16. Oh, the black one's 32 gigabyte. This one's 16 gigabyte. Works fully good with no issues. I used to have like a wait. I think for what I remember, I did have like a black. I mean, sorry, I did have like a white 64 gigabyte one with cheap parts in it, but I think that broke because I think that broke because I wasted it a long time ago, but I don't feel like talking about why, but yeah. But yeah, I think that's unfortunate, but I think having cheap parts in it, like still making it like more rare, or I don't know, but I mean, pretty much a lot of iPhone 4S on 60, a lot of iPhone 4S with 64 gigabyte is rare, so I mean, it's hard. I mean, I know destroying a device that is like a bit rare can make you upset and regret that you didn't do it, but that you should not have done that. But oh well, I mean, things like this can happen in life, you know. But yeah, this is 16 gigabyte wide, fully working. Next up, we have a iPhone 5, 16 gigabyte. 16 gigabyte fully working, slate black. This one's also in like extremely mint condition with not any scratches, because slate black do scratch. Yeah, pretty amazing. Next up, you have a white iPhone 5, 16 gigabyte, works fully good with no issues. It's in this nice blue OtterBox case, which I used to like. I actually used to have one of these cases when I used to have one of these. I used to have one of these cases, but it was like a gray color. But I think that case broke because I went a little bit too hard on it when I was like swapping like iPhone 5s for this cases. But it's nice. But the blue color on this one actually looks nicer. Next up, you have the iPhone 5C white, 32 GB, works fully good with no issues. It has an emoji case, which I got it at Marshall's. Next up, we have is a blue iPhone 5C, 32 GB, also 32 GB, works fully good with no issues. Next up, we have is a pink iPhone 5C, 32 GB, works fully good with no issues. Next up, we have is a yellow 5C, 32 GB, also works fully good. To be honest, all my 5Cs I have are 32 GB, and I actually have pretty much almost all the colors of the iPhone 5C except for green. And yeah, I think I just need a green 5C, and then I'll have all the colors for the 5C. Next up, we have is a iPhone 5S, 32 GB in this AT Tech case. I still have a lot of 5Ss now, but I but but one of the 5Ss, I originally have like 6 5Ss, and one of the 5Ss, and I had like a gold, and I had like 2 iPhone 5Ss that I actually got rid of, and here's because I had like a 16 GB space gray one that I actually sold on Macquarie when I like need money and stuff, and then I had a gold one that's also 16 GB that was like special to my friend, and then I traded it back to him. So yeah, now I have 4 5Ss for now, but the reason why I keep these, because these ones have higher storage, and one of the a space gray one I sold was like 16 GB. So yeah, but yeah, works fully good with no issues. Same thing for this one here. Both of these are in like a similar case. And yeah, they both work fully good with no issues. Next up, we have is another 5S in a spec case, 64 GB. Also a 5S with 64 GB is also kind of rare. It's also kind of rare. So I'm actually glad I have this one, because this one's 64 GB. Next up, we have is a silver. We have another iPhone 5S. This one is a silver color, 16 GB. Works fully good with no issues. I think I actually brought this phone. I actually had this phone. I think for all my iPhone 5Ss, I think one of the space gray one and this one I had for like about 2 years. About 2 years actually, since early 2022. Except this one in early 2022, I actually did brought this phone to a camp with me when I was using it as like a secondary phone. And yeah, it works fully good with no issues. And yeah, and it's in this nice red Tech 21 case. I actually have Oh, by the way, Tech 21 cases are actually like my favorite. Are actually one of my favorite cases. Like my S6 has a Tech 21 case, and I used to have like a Pixel 1 and a Pixel 3 with a Tech 21 case, but sadly those broke. I still have my S6, but I actually sent it to my friend for like a battery replacement, since he's like very good at battery replacement on phone. So yeah, his name is Meowtech, by the way. And yeah, next up we have is a silver iPhone 5S. Also, I know I'm not cutting the video yet, because I'm actually doing this kind of quick. So yeah. So oh wait, this is a SE first gen. So oh yeah, sorry, my bad. I said this is a 5S, but sorry, I meant SE first gen. So here we have is an iPhone SE first gen, 64 GB silver. And this device works fully good with no issues. I actually did main this phone when I didn't have a SIM card for a while, because my old SIM card actually expired in 2020 when I first met the great gamer on YouTube. But then about I believe almost 2 years later, I ended up getting another SIM card, and that's the current one I have now. I actually did main this phone, and it actually feels pretty nice, because I like the SE first gen. And then I actually got this one in a trade with my friend Tag. I think same thing for this one, except this one I got it later. So this is a Rose Gold SE first gen, 64 gigabyte. Works fully good with no issues. By the way, both of these phones, the battery health are both 83. This one used to be at 84, but it dropped. And yeah. And plus, and yeah. Next up, we have this iPhone 6. Now, this iPhone 6 was originally the iOS 8 iCloud locked one, but I actually took off a screen to use it to fix another iPhone 6 that I sold. Like it was like that iPhone 6. I got it from like an untested lot, but I then ended up fixing them after like it worked. So yeah. So yeah, this is just setting this is just saying as parts. Next up, we have the iPhone 6s Rose Gold. Now this phone has kind of been through a lot, but here's a story about this phone. So I actually got this phone in like early 2022, but I then traded, but then I traded to my close friend, the Great Gamer, and then he then traded to me back, I think. Yeah. But yeah, like he gave it to me back like earlier this year, cause I had like a space gray 64 gigabyte one that he gave me a long time ago. That was like more special. But I mean, it's nice to have this one back, cause to be honest, rose gold and space gray are both my favorite colors on like the iPhone 6s and the SE first gen too. And yeah, I like both colors. These. And yeah, it's nice to have this phone back again. Next up, we have is a rose gold iPhone 7. What am I talking about? Next up, we have is a product red iPhone 7. Now, this device fully works with no issues. Actually, besides the battery kind of dying a bit fast. It's also in like very mint condition too. And so, sorry for a bit of delay there, but this device is fully functioning. I think the only really issue it has is that the battery on here kind of dies quick, even though it has 100% battery health. And this phone sometimes even goes stone dead if I'm not using it, which I had this issue on my 7 Plus before. And yeah, by the way, I got this on Macquarie for only $39, which is it's actually very, very cheap. So I bought it anyways, and it ended up be fully working. However, I did have trouble signing to my iCloud on this phone, but I eventually got everything to work on this phone, like signing to my iCloud and putting my stuff on there. Next up, we have is a iPhone 8 Plus, 256 gigabyte. No, sorry guys. Sorry guys for about that for saying wrong. I mean, next up we have the iPhone 8, 256 gigabyte gold. Works fully good with no issues. Now this one is getting kind of special because I had this phone since all the way in July 2021 when I have pretty much no device. I mean, I had devices before, but I don't want to talk about like all the stuff, pretty much the stuff that's happened that time because it's personal. So yeah, I had this phone since July 2021. It's almost like I had this phone for almost 3 years. Wow. In my life of collecting tech, I was not able to keep a phone I was not able to keep a phone longer than like 1 or 2 years, but I was able to now when I still have like some devices I got in like past trades. But yeah, this device still works fully good with no issues. Now, surprisingly, the battery health on this phone was at 81 for a very long time until it finally decided to drop in like, I believe last year. And so this one originally has 81% battery health, but now it's at 76. So battery may not be too good. Next up, we have the iPhone SE 2nd Gen, 256GB black. Works fully good with no issues, except the battery on this thing does die kind of fast. I used to have a red SE 2nd Gen 256GB, but I traded it to my friend. But I traded it to my friend when I went to China. And yeah, I mean, I still have this one, which is nice. I actually like this case on here. So yeah, that's sad. Also, the battery health on this one's 80, so not the greatest. Next up, yeah, is this iPhone 8. Now, this iPhone 8 is just a random part one. Now, this iPhone 8, I actually found it in the Target bin with a 11 Pro Max, except this one and I was like ordering selling this phone, but cause this phone was FMI off and it has like a bad digitizer, but one day I was like messing with it and I accidentally cut myself on this thing, so I then had to like take this phone apart. And yeah, I mean, it just really needs a new screen and it's missing a SIM card tray in the first place, so yeah. Yeah. Next up, we have is a iPhone 6 Plus Gold 16GB. Now this phone is also a very special phone to my collection because this phone is a Chinese model iPhone 6 Plus. You can actually tell from that, and if you plug it in, it goes onto like a battery symbol, and you need to turn it on, and you need to press the power button to turn it on like an Android phone. And yeah, this phone's actually pretty cool, and it's also special because this phone here is actually my grandpa's old phone. It works fully good with no issues now. I actually did have trouble downloading apps on here because this phone's only 16GB. But other than that, it works fully good with no issues, and it's also in like extremely mint condition, which this phone has been extremely taken care of. Besides the yeah, not a single scratch on the screen. Wow. Yeah. But yeah, this device works fully good with no issues, and yeah, 16GB. I know 16GB on like the A8 through A9 devices are like very painful nowadays, or like extremely pain nowadays. But I think back then, I don't think people really don't really do much on their phone besides having social medias and taking pictures, I think. And yeah, I think that time I don't really know much games taking up so much, but anyways, next up we have is another 6S. Next up we have is an iPhone 6S Plus. Oh, by the way, this 8 over here. Oh, by the way, this 6 over here on iOS 8 is 64GB. I actually did that. I actually can tell when I plugged it to Studio Tools. This one was 60. This one's 64GB when I checked the serial number, and this one is a 6S Plus and 64GB now. Now this one, my friend gave this to me for like practicing repairing phones, and unfortunately I did ended up breaking the Touch ID cable on this thing, like how I did with another phone that I got. So I got this phone along with this and a 7 Plus, but I was actually able to fix this 7 Plus besides messing up the home button on it. And yeah, but we still have this to fix. Now, I actually did see some like iPhone 6s Plus screens on Mercari, but the thing about it is that some like screen parts for this is like expensive. Now, I actually did took off the Taptic engine because I put the Taptic engine on another 6s Plus that has a bad Taptic engine. So yeah, this phone here is also sitting for parts. Next up, we have is a iPhone 6s Plus Gold 64GB. Now this one here is my main 6s Plus. I was originally gonna get a 6s. Sorry, I was originally gonna get a 6s Plus in like all the colors. gold, like since I already had gold, silver, and space gray, I was gonna get a rose gold one. But since I needed money like badly on recovery to like buy other stuff, I had to like sell those two. But yeah, I know. Next up, we have is a iPhone 7 Plus, red, 128 GB. Now, I I did have a red iPhone. Now I did have a red 7 Plus with 256 GB before, except that one that one has like a bad battery, like that one has a bad battery, like the 7 over here. Like every time I'm not using it, it always goes stone dead on me, and that's unfortunate. So I had to sell it and buy another one. So yeah. Next, by the way, oh by the way, about the battery health on these devices over here, this one's 88. This one's oh wait, this one's 100, and this one is 89. My previous 7 Plus was also 89. And next up, we have the iPhone 8 Plus, 256 GB gold, works fully good with no issues. Now I remember like 2 years ago, I had an 8 Plus like this that my friend fixed for me, except non-functioning home button and a no True Tone. But uh, I think that phone kind of broke. I don't feel like talking about why, even though that phone was also extremely special to me. But but yeah, this phone was kind of like a replacement for that, but it's not the same, you know. Okay, next up we have a iPhone 10R, 128 GB Coral. Battery health is at 80. This device is special because this device is my sister's old phone, but but when her phone has issues, I gave her my 12 mini since I don't really need that phone when I had a 12, already have a 12 that time with 256 GB. Now this phone works fully good with no issues, and yeah. And next up we have is a iPhone 11 Pro, 512 GB gold, battery health 98, and it works fully good with no issues. I actually had a space gray 11 Pro before this with originally 64, but then board swapped with like a 512 GB one. But that unfortunately, I think that unfortunately like died on me, which do kind of sucks. And then I got this one, which is like much better now. Yeah, I mean my previous 11 Pro had like important battery and display message because it has been board swapped. So yeah, so that's all the iPhones. Now we're going to, oh, one thing, the device I'm recording on is my main phone here, my iPhone 13 Pro, 256 GB, silver. Battery health is at 92. Okay, on to the next row, which will probably be Android since this is all my iPhones. Okay guys, so now we're on to like the next section of devices of what I have. These are pretty much, so I put like all the Androids and iPods together since I can really put them all. After that, we're gonna do like iPads and then maybe my watch here and stuff. I think this time I'm probably not gonna include my AirPods since I have so many, and most of my AirPods I have are broken since they're mostly from bins, except for like my main AirPods and my other two and my older AirPods that I used. So without further ado, let's get started. So first up we have is this Samsung phone. This is like Samsung Galaxy Exhibit, I think. Works fully good with no issues, and this phone's kind of junk because it's a old cheap Samsung phone, and I don't think you can really do much on this since it's on Android 4. And the only thing that's cool about this phone is that it's small. It's kind of like an S3 mini, but it's not an S3 mini, and it's a cheap Samsung phone. Cheap old Samsung phone. Next up, we have a Galaxy S3. Mint condition, works fully good with no issues. Next up, we have the Galaxy S4. Works fully good with no issues. Next up, we have the Galaxy S5. Works fully good with no issues. Now, this phone is kind of interesting because Because I bought this phone on Mercari for like over 50 something dollars, which is expensive, but when I got it, this phone is actually on T-Mobile, which is quite rare. Which is quite rare for this phone. Now I do have a Galaxy S6, but I gave that phone to but I sent that phone to my friend for like a battery replacement, since the battery on my S6 is not that good. Like, it dies extremely fast. So yeah, so we have a Galaxy S7, works fully good with no issues. By the way, the S7's unlocked, and the S5 is T-Mobile, and the S3 and S4 are T-Mobile, and my S6, wait, no, the S3 and S4 are Verizon, and my S6 is Verizon. Next up, we have the Galaxy Note 3. Works really good with no issues. This one's on also on Verizon. I think that's pretty much all that. Yeah. Next up is a cheap Xiaomi phone. Now, this phone's I know this is like a cheap phone, but this one's also special to my collection because this phone is my grandma's old phone, and it works fully good with no issues. And yeah, next up we have is a LG Stylo 1. I actually found this in a Target bin when I went to like a far place when I went to like a far place for shopping and stuff, and this phone has like no battery. I know it's crazy how I found a lot of these phones. I found like 3 last year, and then I found another one. Except this phone has no battery inside, so I can't test it. I may get a battery for this one day if I ever find a battery for it. Okay. Also, this phone does have some crack down here, but I'm sure it will still work fine with a battery. Next up, we have is a Moto G. Is a Motorola. I have 2 Motorola phones here, except this is a Moto G first gen. Works fully good with no issues. I have another one, but I sold it. But these phones are I think they're only junk nowadays because this phone's like 8 GB and can't really download many apps. Next up, we have is a Moto X4. Now, this one's actually a nice phone, and this phone is also like very fast as well. And yeah, I've actually tried selling this phone, but the buyer like returned it to me, saying that it won't work, saying like this phone won't work with his SIM card when it actually did, because I really got this in a trade with my friend. I mean, it's fine if I still keep it since I like this phone a lot. Next up, we have is a cheap ZTE phone. This one was like a smashing phone, but I somehow able to keep it. But I'm somehow kept it in my collection. I mean, I will smash this one day for sure, because this phone's also kind of junk. Because it's a cheap ZTE phone. Next up is a Galaxy Note 10 Plus. This is actually my main Android phone, and I actually like this phone a lot. It works fully good with no issues, and it has a lens sticker on the back and a nice case. And yeah, this phone's very nice. Next up, we have is a old Huawei phone. I think it works really good with no issues. Besides, the back is like kind of beat up. Yeah, this phone was also from a Target bin. Next up, we have is a flip phone. Now, these 2 phones here are actually both my grandparents' old flip phones. Now, they unfortunately do not work because they don't have batteries in them, but I think my grandparents like threw out the old batteries because it got swollen. And yeah, I mean, they're just gonna sit how it is, because since these are like Chinese phones, since the battery may not be easy to find, and it's rare. So yeah, Chinese phone parts are rare in the US, to be for sure. Next up, we have this old Nokia phone. I don't know if this works or not. I tried testing it, and it's cool that it can spin like this. And And yeah, this phone here is actually my uncle's old phone. Now I got this from my uncle along with a Chinese Note 3, but I traded my Chinese Note 3 to my friend Miaotech. And yeah, I think that's pretty much all the Android phone, including some of the flip phones. Now I now last year I did have like more dumb a lot of dumb phones and flip phones and stuff, but I either smashed or traded them. But yeah, but these phones here are like special to me in my collection. My grandparents' old phones are more special than like some phones I got from my aunt aunts and uncles. So yeah. Now onto the iPods. Now I think my iPod collection for a long time has not really changed much, but I think right now there should be a little bit of changes. So let's get started with the iPods here. We have an iPod Touch first gen, 8 GB, works fully good with no issues. This one's actually jailbroken with some apps on there and works fully good with no issues. Next up, we have another iPod Touch first gen. By the way, this one here is extremely scratched up that I'd want to like put something on here like this. Like I wrote Miku on the back. I was originally like trying to like put a Miku sticker on here, but the Miku sticker is like would not fit on this since it's small. So here we have so this iPod Touch first gen has like a lot of old apps on music and stuff because I got it from a lot, and works fully good with no issues. Next up we have a iPod Touch second gen, 8 GB, works fully good with no issues. Same thing with this one. This one's in this nice case. I'm pretty sure some of these are dead because they've been sitting in my drawer. So yeah, works fully good with no issues. Oh, by the way, this first gen iPod Touch is 16 GB, that's 8 GB, these two are 8 GB. Yeah, next up we have another iPod Touch second gen. Oh, by the way, the iPod Touch first through fourth gen actually scratch extremely easily now. I think these two I have has like less scratches on the screen. This one has more. And yeah, both of these devices actually works good with no issues. And yeah. Oh, by the way, this one has an engraving on the back, and same thing for this one. So, same thing for this first screen here. So, yeah. Next up, you have is a iPod Touch 4th gen. Now this one here, I left it in this one here was the one that I left it in the rain in some like few videos ago, and it actually survived. Now this iPod Touch 4th gen, I got this iPod as untested, since this was like untested and only $8 to see, and I was like wondering if this would work or not, since the iPod looks in really good condition. But after testing it, here's the result, and I tried to restore it. It keeps giving me errors no matter how I tried and stuff, and yeah. It's amazing how this iPod actually survived in the rain. So, yeah. I mean, it did got wet, but no water damage from the rain. Next up, we have another iPod Touch 4th gen. Now this one has some dead pixels on the screen, and this one was from one of my oh, by the way, speaking of like raining, it started raining like now from what I can hear. Anyways, so this iPod Touch 4th gen was from a Target bin fund from last year. It works fully good with no issues besides a dead pixels right there. Next up we have is another iPod Touch 4th gen. Now this one's 32 GB black, works fully good with no issues, but this one actually has some old apps. But I did put like my stuff on there when the iOS 6 App Store was back, because at that time it was down, but now it's permanently down, which kind of sucks. So that's for these, so that's why if I want to get like these iPod Touch first through fourth gen and the iPhone 3Gs and 3GS again, and even an iPad 1, I I'm only gonna I'm only looking I'm only going for ones with old apps on them. And yeah, that's that. And here we have is a white iPod Touch 4th gen, 32 GB. What works fully good with no issues. By the way, this case over here actually came with this one, but since this one doesn't seem to, like restore or anything, I decided to like put this case on my main iPod Touch 4th gen, and it works, and it actually looks pretty nice here. I like this case actually. Next up, we have is a iPod Touch 5th gen, 64 GB pink. Works fully good with no issues. Next up, we have is a iPod Touch 6th gen. Now, this iPod Touch 6th gen here, I mean, I know I have two iPod Touch 6th gens, but so most iPod Touch 5th through 7th gen I see on Mercari are like kind of expensive, even though the 5th and 6th gen are kind of old. And when I saw like an iPod Touch 6th gen in like pink, I've actually like wanted that one since the pink color on an iPod Touch 6th gen looks cool. Now, I then actually found one for like a cheap price, so I then bought it anyways, and here it is. By the way, this one's 16 GB. It's kind of like pain to download a lot of apps, just like my Chinese 6 Plus there. And here is my main iPod Touch 6th gen. Now this one is 32 GB. 32 GB blue, works really good with no issues. Now this pink iPod Touch 6th gen actually came with, if I can find it. Oh, down here. It did came with this case, but the reason why I didn't use this case, because this case is a bit broken, like it's missing the volume up button. And yeah. Oh, by the way, I used to have this type of cases on my iPhone, on like one of my iPhone 5S's, and even a colorful case that looks like this on for like an iPhone 6 through SE 3rd gen, and even I used to have a case like similar to that on my 10R, but purplish. So wow, I've actually had several cases over the past that look like this. Okay, next up, and the last iPod I have here is my iPod Touch 7th gen. Now I got this device back in 2021 as a Christmas gift. Now this device actually works fully good with no issues, and the luckiest thing about this one is that I got this before Apple discontinued the iPod Touch, because about 2 years ago Apple discontinued the iPod Touch, and Apple stopped making iPods completely. Now, back in 2021, I used to have an iPod Touch 7th gen before this one here, but my first iPod Touch 7th gen was a red one, 128 GB one, but that unfortunately broke before like the summer, because I was like doing something with it, and then I dropped it in like this water, and then I dropped it in water, and then I think after that I had like a blue one, I think, so, but 32 GB since that time I was still in like middle school. I do get like new devices at I do get devices at the end of my school year and stuff, and yeah, that's unfortunate. And then for Christmas in 2021 I got this iPod Touch 7th gen, and it's still like really mint condition now. I've taken very good care of this. Now here's something I want. Now this iPod Touch 7th gen, I do not want to get rid of this, because this iPod here is like very special to me, that since Apple discontinued the iPod Touch 7th gen, you can only buy like a used one, and a used one on like eBay and Mercari stuff are like pretty much expensive. I mean, I know they're expensive because, I mean, for just the 32 GB ones, they're like around 100 something, but for like a 128 GB or 256 GB one, those go for like 200 and up, which is extremely expensive. And yeah, and I can always, and yeah. Okay, now onto the iPads. Oh, by the way, I do want to show you guys like my watches I have. So we have a app. Something just flew off. Okay. Oh, okay. So first up we have is a iPod. I mean, an Apple Watch. So first up, this is the only Apple Watch I have. It's a Series SE first gen, and it works fully good with no issues. Now the thing sucks about this watch is that it did not get watchOS 11, which sucks because watchOS 11 is for Series 6 and up, and that's unfortunate. I might have to upgrade or get another Apple Watch in the future. I mean, I could get like a Series 7 again, or maybe a Series 6. I think a Series 6 or Series 7 should be perfect for my next Apple Watch upgrade, but yeah, I mean, this is still pretty cool, I think. This is still pretty cool at least. Next up we have and yeah, these watches over here, no, wait, so I have a Minecraft watch that also looks pretty good. That also looks pretty cool. This one I got it at like a mall. And, oh wait, I got this watch and like my PC that I use for gaming around the same time when I like was about to, I think when I was about to finish like middle school or something, I don't know, in like 2022. Okay, so and these two watches here, I got it from a claw machine when I was at China, except this is kind of like a fake Apple Watch, and this one is just a random watch, that. I mean, it's still cool. Like, I mean, this watch is still cool because you can still play around with this. So, yeah, that's that. Okay, so my iPad collection has grown a lot throughout these months. So, or actually a little, not a lot, because yeah. So I don't really have much space to fit them all here. So we're just gonna show you guys. Yeah, by just putting it here. So first up we have this Nintendo Switch. It's actually very nice. I've been wanting, and I got a Nintendo Switch for so long, and then I finally have a Switch. So I got this on my last year's birthday, on my 17th birthday, and now onto like my actual iPads. So here I have an iPad 2. It's 16 GB black, works fully good with no issues. I downgraded this to iOS 8.4.1 as you can see, and it works fully good with no issues. And it does have an engraving on the back. Next up we have another iPad 2, and this one is also 16 GB white. Works fully good with no issues. And also downgraded to iOS 8.4.1, and yeah, since I kind of got three tools kind of to work, I did actually jailbreak some of my devices and like my iPad 2s and downgrading them to iOS 8.4.1. Now I did try to jailbreak them on iOS 8, but the jailbreak I tried ended up like messing the device up. I had to like start over again, which is quite a pain. So yeah, and what I mean it was a pain is that because the jailbreak kind of keeps failing all the times, every time even I turn off the real-time protection on the Windows security thing. So yeah, next up we have is another iPad 2. Now this one was from my recent videos of what happens if you put devices in the rain. Now this iPad 2 was originally iCloud locked, and and it's not worth contacting the owner since it's an iPad 2. It's not worth contacting the owner on this iPad on this because it's an iPad 2 and it's not worth it. Yeah. I mean, these two iPad 2s I have here are my working ones, but this one here, this one here I got alongside another iPad 2. Wait. So this iPad 2 I got it along with another iPad 2 that's on iOS 4, iOS 4.3.3. Yeah, that one. I got it with another iPad 2 on iOS 4.3.3, which is rare. And that iPad, I actually did made a review on it, but I also, with that iPad, I traded it to my friend Meowtech, and yeah, cause iOS 4.3.3 is extremely rare for the iPad 2, and yeah, that's that. Now, this one, and I got that one with this one here. Now this one here is in. Now this one here now this white one I have here is iCloud locked, and I actually did leave this iPad in the rain, but but then the iPad ended up freaking out in the rain, and now it doesn't seem to work anymore. And when I made a community post of the iPad coming back to life, that was actually the iPad boot looping. But yeah, here's the result after the rain. It still has like water in the screen, but it doesn't work anymore. So I might smash it to like finish it off or something. Next up we have is an iPad 3. Now, this iPad here is 64GB black, works fully good with no issues. Now, the coolest thing about this iPad is that it's 64GB. It's 64GB, works fully good with no issues. I tried to jailbreak this one to downgrade it to iOS 8.4.1, but for some reason the jailbreak, like I said, just keeps failing. Even I turn off the real-time protection thing in the Windows security thing, it just still kept failing. I don't know why, or is it an issue when you try to jailbreak a million devices at once at the same time? I don't know. Next up we have is a iPad 4. Now this iPad has actually been through a lot with me. Like I first got this iPad in like December 2021 with in a trade with my friend Meowtech, I think. Now back then when I was like collecting devices, I did have like issues. I did have like issues of like phones with cracked screens like cutting me and stuff. But then I ended up taking to a repair shop. By the way, I don't usually go to repair shops to get phones fixed. The only thing I only went to a repair shop for was to like was in like 2022 when I went to get my 6S fixed, my iPad 4, and my Pixel 2, and I think after that that's pretty much it for like the repair shop. So yeah, but here's the iPad 4, as you can see. It's on iOS 10.3.3. Here, there you go. Works fully good with no issues. Also, I did put Elsa on the back because I was bored and I was like obsessed with Elsa from Frozen. Yeah, I mean, I'm obsessed with like Vocaloid and stuff now, but I was obsessed with Elsa before that, so yeah, that's that. Next up we have is a iPad mini. Well, let me show the other one first. So next up we have the iPad mini 2. This one, oh yes, I did put a Miku sticker on the back. This one is hopefully this one's 32GB. This one is 32GB space gray, works fully good with no issues. Now, oh yeah, I used to have like a silver iPad mini 2 on iOS 12, but I think I traded one to my friend the Great. I think I gave one to my friend the Great Gamer a long time ago, and then I then have another one for myself, which I think a lot of people remember that the other one like broke, and then I got this one, but I don't feel like talking about what I did back then because it's personal. Next up, we have is a silver iPad Mini 2. Now, this iPad Mini 2 is actually kind of special because it's running iOS 8.0. I know iOS 8 is not the original version the iPad Mini 2 shipped with because the iPad Mini 2 shipped with iOS 7. Now, if I can not show the serial number, wait. You can see it's running iOS 8.0, which is actually still pretty rare for this iPad because an iPad Mini 2 on like iOS 8 or 9 nowadays is actually not that easy to find, so that's what makes this iPad so special. And it works really good with no issues. It works fully good with no issues. And by the way, this one's 16 gigabyte. My space gray one on iOS 12 is 32. But yeah, this iPad works fully good with no issues. And okay, next up we have is a iPad Mini 4. Oh, this one's dead. Oh yeah, this iPad Mini 4 here is 128 gigabyte gold. Works fully good with no issues besides a scratch right here. I actually got it like that. Yeah. One cool thing about the iPad Mini series is that you can actually hold them like this, which you can't for like a bigger iPad. Like you can pretty much almost all the iPad Mini series. I'm not sure about the iPad Mini 6 right now, but you can like hold most iPad Mini. It's like this, and yeah. So that's that. Next up, we have is a iPad Air 2, 128 gigabyte space gray. Works fully good with no issues, but the battery on this thing is kind of bad. Like every time, like it dies kind of. Oh my goodness, it has charge. I thought it died on me. Oh, even the Mini 4 come back to life after. That's amazing. Okay, I don't know if I want to unlock it or not because I don't want notifications to be spamming. Okay. So I guess if it does boot up, I'm just gonna let it die again because I don't want notifications to be spamming on me. Alright, next iPad we have is a iPad 6th Gen, 128 gigabyte space gray. Now, wait, 11%? Yeah, the battery on this iPad Air 2 is not that great. So here's the iPad 6th Gen. Now, it used to be my main iPad from September 2021 to February of 2023, which is about like 1.5 years. But I mean, the good thing I upgraded was because the iPad 6th Gen is like getting slow. Like when iOS 17 comes out, iOS 17 kind of killed the iPad 6, and I did bring it to China with me because it's like very painful to use. Not gonna lie. And why would I bring it anyways? Because I forgot since I was like preparing things in a rush. Oh, and the Mini 4 died again. So yeah. Now the good thing about the iPad 6 is that finally Apple dropped support for this after iPadOS 18 come out. Because the iPad 6 is very slow on iOS. The iPad 6 is very slow on iOS 7. That I can literally feel some stuttering when I'm like scrolling stuff. Also, I noticed the battery life on the iPad 6 is also not that good. Like I noticed it does kind of also starting to drain fast, like my Mini 4 and my Air 2. I mean, yeah, I think that's the thing with the iPad 6. Also, Guys, let me give you guys a suggestion. If you have an iPad 6 still on iOS 15 or 16, I would suggest not to update it because once you update it to iPadOS 17, it does get kind of slow here. It does get kind of slow, but thank God Apple dropped support for this. Otherwise, they would not care about the iPad 6, and the iPad 6 was starting to struggle so bad on iPadOS 7, on iPadOS 18. Next up we have is my iPad 9th gen, 256GB blue. It works fully good with no issues, and I don't know why, but sometimes this case doesn't seem to close properly. Like sometimes when I, like if the when the iPad is on, sometimes when I close it, it doesn't. Yeah, now it actually works accurate with the case, but sometimes it doesn't work accurate with the case now. Yeah, I used to have a 64GB iPad 9th gen with the same color, but I gave that one to my mom when I got this one because my mom wanted an iPad like really bad since she never really had an iPad before besides like using one of my childhood ones. But anyways, yeah, this iPad still works fully good with no issues, and it runs iPadOS 18 beta. Last up we have is my main iPad here, my iPad 10th gen, also blue, also 256GB. This device works fully good with no issues, and this device also works fully good with no issues, and it's my main iPad. Okay, last thing I'm gonna show you guys is, hold on a second, my laptop. So I only have 3 laptops here, so I'll just get into you guys like the laptop I have. So we have a MacBook Air 2015 11-inch. I have 2 MacBooks and 1 PC. Next up we have the MacBook Air 2017 13-inch. I think both of these work good except the MacBook Air 2015, the trackpad doesn't work. And then lastly we have is this eView PC. And this is the laptop I use for gaming and stuff on it. Anyway guys, this is pretty much it for this video here. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe for more content like this, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.